The following is a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.
Welcome back to the fabulous UAB Director's Chair. It's our weekly show about UAB sports, and really, it's bigger than that, man. It's about college sports in general. We pull back the curtain on a lot of things, where we could have coaches on. They're great. X's and O's are always a good thing, and I'm sure we'll have Alex on during football season, and again, we'll have Kennedy on during basketball season. But he is the athletic director of UAB Blazers, and so I love to get his thoughts on things. I learn something every single week. You said on this show 7, 8, 9 months ago that we were going to have expansion in March Madness. I've thrown that around to several people, and they're like, here we go again. Everyone gets a trophy. I said, dude, there's 69 teams get in, 68, 69 teams get in. There's 350 teams. I mean, we could, you can make this a little larger. You could double it, and it still wouldn't be as much as any other major sport. So it appears we're going to 76 teams. Tell me how you think about that.
Well, I think expansion is good. My preference would be that we went to 128. That to me is the fair number. That's such a change, though. It feels radical because when you say go from, we were 68, but really we're 68 only because of the first four that they do, the play-in thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you eliminated that, then you're what was 64 teams. If you could double that 64, it's one round of games. It sounds like a lot. It's one game. It just basically replaces the first four. Instead of first four, it's a full 64,
So Dayton's losing their games?
No. I'm saying that's what I would have liked to have seen happen. But, even going from 68 to 76 is good, I think.
But they are eliminating. They're eliminating those first four games as playing games.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah. That what I'm reading is they're going to eliminate those games in Dayton,
and then everybody's in.
Yeah, and then they're going to pick another city for the other six. I don't know how much you know about this.
Well, I would just say that the question that we all have is that does this give an opportunity for another team out of the American to go versus the 10th place team from the SEC?
Yeah.
The 10th place team from the Southeastern Conference has a losing record, but because they play a hard schedule, they get into the NCAA tournament versus and I know Miami of Ohio did get in, but that kind of stuff. There's a lot of teams like us and Miami, the first, call it the top three in the American, the top, probably top two in either the Sun Belt or CUSA or the MAC. There's other really good teams that are, you call group of six programs that are better. They're better basketball teams than the 10th place team in a Power Four league that we fear are going to get in just because they're in that league. So
we get into that semantics of the best teams available, or do we put in the teams that deserve to win? I know when you were just talking about the SEC, you were obviously talking about the Auburn Tigers. Amazingly enough, when they were talking about this, at least the stuff I've seen, they were talking more about Belmont as one of those teams that should have got in.
Auburn might be a team as a good example that should get in and maybe now will. I'm not, and I want to be clear. I'm not saying that that none of those should get in. The concern that everybody has is that it's just going to be more of the same of the committee bias towards,
it does get a lot muddier between 69 and 70 than 76 and 77, just because the deeper you go, the more arguments you can make. So, which I think is great.
We're going to argue this year of the first four out who should have been in, just like we always have. That's not going away. Look at the college football playoff expansion. When it was two teams with a BCS, people complained about 3 and 4. When it moved to a 4-team playoff, people complained about 5 and 6. I mean, we're complaining about, who should or should not have gotten in this past year, and there was 12 teams in it. And people still complained about who's going to get it. That's not going away.
Are you surprised that we're only adding, what do we add, 8 more teams? What do we have, 68, 69, 68?
Well, I guess technically it was 67, but because the 4 play for that one spot to create 64. So
So we're only
You're going
going
from
to
67 to 76, nine more teams.
so is that even? I mean, if you're going to go, go. I mean, that doesn't even seem like it's worth our time. I mean, I know there's 350 basketball schools, but if you're
Yeah,
going to expand, expand. You know what
I'm
I
with
mean?
you. Yep.
That doesn't. That's like expanding your restaurant and just putting on another urinal and putting an extra bathroom in. I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, it's good. I guess it goes. The one thing I thought was interesting. So there were 37 automatic, and then the rest were at large. Is that correct? There were 37 automatic bids.
Yeah.
Now, according to this plan, there's going to be 52 automatic spots. How does that work? Where did those come
Yeah,
from?
it means they're going to give automatics to certain preferential treatment to certain conferences.
Okay. And it also appears that if you win your conference tournament, you will have an automatic bid, which is not
We've already
something.
had that.
Okay. So yeah.
That's what's been going is the tournament winner. I would argue that let's just use the American as an example. If the team that won the regular season did not win their tournament, right now the team that wins the regular season gets an automatic to the NIT.
Yeah.
But really they've got the better resume. And this has happened to us here at UAB. Jared Hass's last season with us, we were terrific during the regular season, kind of ran away with the regular season, but then we lost the first game of the tournament
I remember
right
that.
here in
Yeah.
Birmingham, and we go to the NIT, and I think Middle Tennessee, who was also very good, I think it was either them or Western Kentucky, and I think it was Middle, went to the NCAA tournament, and maybe they beat Michigan State that year, but so not to take anything away from them, what I'm really trying to say is
Yeah.
in this new model, would UAB be able to get in as a second, as an at-large into the NCAA tournament?
So again, and I don't expect you to know this because this is relatively new news. My son texted to me yesterday. He's all over. He obviously loves basketball and loves UAB. Do you don't have any idea what that 52 numbers coming from? How are they automatically gonna? How are they gonna start giving the top two teams in the SEC automatic bids? Where would those automatic bids come from? Because right now
I
it's
don't
just you when
know.
you. Okay.
Listen, this will not benefit UAB so much that it's not worth paying that much attention to. They've
Okay.
expanded, like the detail of it. I mean, I can hope it, I can wish it, but realistically, time will tell. And I don't usually come across maybe that negative or pessimistic, but um, just history mainly tells me that we shouldn't get ourselves too excited yet.
I'm
Let's see
amazed.
how they do this year, and if they are a little more uh, unbiased, that would be great.
I'm amazed that we're not hearing anything about it. I mean, I haven't heard anything.
Well, I
Nothing.
mean, it went out. Yeah, there was a bit of a press release last week that this was happening, and that I haven't had any chatter about it. No one's asked me about it.
I mean, I maybe it's because there's only being, 8, 9 extra teams being added to it. I don't know. I just really was surprised that was not going to be certainly something for me. It's huge news. I think it's great, and
Yeah,
I think anytime you have expansion in anything, any playoff
yeah,
scenario, you have expansion. I think it's huge news
yeah.
because you're going to have
It's an
nine more.
opportunity.
Well,
It's
you're
an
gonna have
opportunity to keep
yeah,
playing.
you're gonna have 9 more fan bases that are gonna have something to root for, and you're gonna keep them. Now when you get knocked out with a week left, now who knows what's gonna happen. It's gonna keep everyone involved and isolated into their own basketball programs. The UAB director's chair, he is Mark Ingram down there on the south side doing our show. We do it every single week. I always pull up college sports, and I just put news. I'll hit some AI just to look for some different things to talk to you about. And I'm seeing just a lot of stuff about college football, about the college football future.
Yep.
Trinidad Chambliss making millions, and the NCAA trying to stop him. Brandon Sorsby, college football's first big gambling scandal. Tommy Tuberville talking about how it's a complete disaster. And then the NCAA proposing a 5-year eligibility model, how it'll change college sports. You mentioned that kind of tweaked your interest a little bit, so I wanted you to talk about with this eligibility proposal. What does that mean?
Yeah, right now you have 5 years to play four. So you have a red shirt year plus 4 years to play. What's being proposed is, hey man, you get five.
Mhm.
You get 5 years, you can play all five. There's no red shirt anymore. You have 5 years. I think the hope is that it will shrink the number of lawsuits that are or waivers that requests that we're getting. We before I really blame the pandemic, but the Pavia waiver when he got a 6th year last season, that has now opened the door for every single kid who thinks he might have a reasonable chance of getting a 6th year. It's kind of like the in sales. If you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Mm,
So these kids all have agents now. They all have agents. The worst player on every team has an agent. And those agents are saying, hey, man, it's just some paperwork for your athletic department. And they certainly don't care about us doing more work. So we're just a mechanism to file the waiver. We're not judge and jury in this. We just say,
yeah.
hey, Tony Curry has this, and under these circumstances, we're requesting another year. The NCAA probably used to get 50 to 100 of these. Now they're getting 2,000 of them. And then every time one gets denied, the kid and their agent have lawyered up and they're coming with a lawsuit, which then the NCAA has to deal with the lawsuit, you know.
Yeah.
And so, and it's from a lawyer who, in a similar way, is like, I'm just here to help. You don't pay me unless it works, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
um, they're just trying to get away from waivers and lawsuits and back to real work, which is
Yeah.
trying to
And
make
allow
make
them
competition better.
and allow them an extra year to make more money.
Yeah,
I mean,
the challenge in it, Tony, is the detail of when does this 5-for-5 begin?
mhm.
So if you say, okay, well, we're going to start it this fall. All right. Is that just for people that are starting college this fall? What if I'm a junior currently and next year I'm going to be a senior? Does that mean I get another year on the back end of that, or does it not count for me? Because if doing it is for the betterment of the athlete and betterment of the experience and all this stuff, then it should apply to everybody that's currently in the game.
True.
What if I just finished my 5th year or I finished my 4th year or something, and I don't have any eligibility left? Do I get a 5th year?
Yeah.
I thought I was finished at UAB. Can I get another year next year now?
Yeah, I can see that. You're
So,
gonna.
so trying to determine that, and regardless of the decision, you got lawsuits coming from that. Whichever way you go on that, you're going to have lawsuits.
Do you think that the college game, will end up being better because we have more seniority in each league? In other words, I mean, we got 23, 24, 25-year-old guys. It used to be if you had a 24-year-old kicker, it was like, wow, he's 24 and he's still in college. That's crazy. We
No,
got
they're not necessarily any older. I mean, the only difference is you've got guys that redshirt and play for now,
but the
so they're at
European
least 5 years.
but the
They're the
European play.
same age. The difference is potentially they could have gotten on the field or court
But the
in all
European
5 years.
players, I'm talking about more than anything. I'm talking about the influx of European players coming over, that obviously can play, and they can play at
Yeah,
any age they want to, if
yeah.
they've got the
If they haven't
eligibility.
started university, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's interesting. I saw a really interesting article. I want to get your thoughts on it. I cannot believe that, it's like I'm still rubbing my eyes. It's still a dream. Did Indiana really win a national championship last year? I'm like, and I saw the draft this past weekend, and I saw Mendoza winning the Heisman Trophy. I'm like, did a quarterback from Indiana really win the Heisman? It's just it's
Yeah,
crazy. Did he just go number one in the draft? And then, of course, you have the Big Ten winning the basketball March Madness. The Big Ten did that for the first time in 25 years, and I saw a really interesting spin on it. That is, it's not even close. But 7 out of the top 10 alumni associations are Big Ten schools.
hmm
And to put this in perspective, Indiana has got the largest living alumni association in all of college sports. They have over
yeah,
800. They have over 817,000
yeah,
previous Indiana, which never knew. I don't know how big Indiana is. I never thought, I could see Ohio State. I could see Michigan State there in there too. But they got 817,000 alumni. To put that in perspective, Alabama, which ranked 12th, is just a little over 200,000.
yeah.
So Indiana has 4 times as many alumni. And with alumni come Bucks. And
Yeah,
with Bucks come,
I'm surprised that Alabama's ranked that high, frankly. I didn't realize that they would be that. I mean, I would put them in the top 50, but I wouldn't have known they'd be in the top 15.
And that number's probably gone up quite a bit since Nick Saban got there. I get that.
Well, their enrollment, just
Yeah.
decisions to expand their enrollment and how they've done it, dormitories and Greek housing and all that, and really recruited heavy out of state to bring more kids down south. In particular, they had a well-designed plan to expand and increase enrollment. Yeah, being successful at sports helps to market that and attract kids in. But yeah, that's why this paying players era really provides a great advantage to the Big Ten because
Oh
of all
man.
the large alumni
It's
groups. Yeah,
not even close. I mean, the
right.
SEC doesn't sniff the jock of the Big Ten and how many people they have.
Yeah,
And
right.
how much money for NIL and to pay players comes from the alumni associations? I think we all think that Mark Cuban's stroking a check, the Nike guy's
Yeah,
stroking a
I
check, and
think
of
it's
course it
just
has a lot of,
opportunity. I mean, you just have more people that are potentially interested than if you have a small alumni base. I mean, you could have a smaller school like Northwestern who's in the Big Ten, and they might have more people who have wealth than more individuals that have wealth. But when you have an alumni base of the size of what Penn State or Michigan or Indiana has because of how big the school is,
yeah,
there's like 60,000 students at Ohio State.
yeah.
I mean, so you
That's
just have more people that might be interested in giving something.
Well, you got more people graduating. You got more people in the workforce. You got more people that typically could be rich and
And then
make it
your
big in their own
population
business.
base. Your population base is important. So let's use this. Let's use Ohio State and the state of Ohio. There are just more people in the state of Ohio than the state of Alabama. I mean, Columbus, Cleveland, and Cincinnati, those three major cities, there's just more people,
Yeah,
And so you also have, let's call it not just alumni, but you have sidewalk fans, what we call them, which is a person that didn't go to school there, but just grew up loving them.
yeah,
And we have those here in the state. With every school, people that didn't go to school at UAB but happened to be a fan, or people that didn't go to Alabama but they grew up a fan. But we have a lower population, so in theory, you have fewer of them,
yeah,
and you just got fewer people in the state, so you got probably less corporate wealth too
yeah.
because of the population difference.
Last one we talked, you were talking about a couple of your programs that are on fire right now. I
Yeah.
want to know where they're at. It's not to say that I don't keep track of things. I got a lot going on. You go to uabsports.com, uabsports.com. You can check out everything. It's a great website, easy to navigate. But what's going on with your athletic programs? Do tell before we let you go.
Yeah, our beach volleyball team has ended their season. They had the best season that they've ever had.
Awesome.
They got to the tournament, won their first two matches, and then sadly lost. So they did not get to the championship as they thought or hoped that they could. But they had a great year. Um, uh, Men's golf just finished their tournament in fifth place, and they were incredibly close and really could have gotten to top four. And why that matters is when you get top four, then there's like a playoff where they do match play. So that's what you're trying to do is get to fourth, and they just missed out on that. But they were five spots better than they were a year ago. So a huge improvement for them. Baseball still tied for first place.
Yowza.
Since our last show, we took the series over Memphis, two games, 2 out of 3 games, which was great. Memphis is playing really well right now. They had not started off their year great, but they're playing really good baseball right now. So that was a big series win for us. And we're headed down to Rice. We've traveled today to Rice. Men's baseball does, and softball's down at Florida Atlantic. So we're closing out the spring here, but yeah, we've had a really solid spring so far, and pulling for baseball here, who's in just a great position to finish strong and have a really high seeding going into the tournament, which makes a huge difference.
Cincinnati Reds sitting there 19 and 11 in first place. I just wanted to mention that in the sense of
Just so we know,
just
the people
to
sitting
let
in
you
the
know,
back.
because every week I hope I can say, by the way, have you checked out my Cincinnati Reds lately? Because they're in first. I said that they were going to win the division this year just because I think Terry Francona is that good. I think wherever he's gone, I mean, for God's
Yeah,
sakes, he brought a championship to Boston. They had one from 89 to 90 years or whatever.
right.
I think he's that good. He just brings just a him. There's these guys like
And they use the Moneyball concept. That's
yeah,
what they did.
Dusty
To
Baker, those guys, man, they just turn it around so quick. I don't know what that is. But and I thought it was interesting. We already saw the Phillies coach get fired, and Don Mattingly took over his position. I've always thought it was a little strange to get fired, 20 or 30 games into a 162 game season. I mean,
Yeah.
that meant your seat was really hot going in,
Yeah.
and you just don't start off.
And the Phillies have been so good.
I mean, they're 10-19. I mean, that's not. It's again, it's
Well,
really
but
early.
in the last couple of years, they've been
Yeah,
incredible. Yeah.
yeah, so I don't really get that, but the one thing about the Cincinnati Reds, what I think is really incredible, is they're 19-11, but they're -5 in run differential. In other words, they're still being outscored throughout the season, but they've won 19 of 30 ball games, which is almost impossible to do. So
Hmm.
when they win small. When they lose, they get their ass handed to them. So
Yeah.
anyway, it's going to be good. All right.
Feast or famine.
I'm going to get into some sports rock with you next week. We're going to get into some things. I'm going to do a little homework. If you've got anything going on in the world of rock that you want to talk about, I thought maybe it'd be a good idea. Maybe if we went through a list, because I know some people down there at Live Nation listen to the show. Down there at the Coca-Cola Amphitheater, maybe we could give them a list of bands we would like to see show up at the
Ooh.
Coca-Cola Amphitheater. We do have a little there. I'm just saying.
We
I know
got to
people.
think about appropriately sized acts,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it holds what 8,000-9,000 people down there. But I mean, we had Bruce Springsteen.
Man, is it that big? It's that big?
Yeah, I think it's 8,000-9,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it's bigger than Oak Mountain. But we
Okay.
had Bruce Springsteen signed to come to Oak Mountain Amphitheater. Second to last year it was here. So, and I know that sounds crazy, right? But he wanted to take out the entire front row. And for whatever reason they weren't willing to do that. I'd do anything to bring Bruce Springsteen to my amphitheater, period. But
Yeah.
they don't need it. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting, and I can't wait till the summer concert series. So and AC/DC still playing in Atlanta in August, so that's going to be good. I'm going to see my Reds next weekend with my buddy Santo Cruz Curry, so I'm looking forward to getting the hell out of here for a couple of days.
Very nice.
All right, I love you, my man. Take care of yourself, and we'll catch up next week.
All right, pal. Thank you. Go Blazers.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.